Hey, what's up? It's Jared with State of Tech, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Moto X4 from Motorola. But first, can you see this? Can you see that we hit 30,000 subscribers? Now, I'm super excited about that. I have not done anything other than just put out content, and you all have subscribed to it, and I'm just very appreciative of that. I'm going to do a video talking about, where I'm going with this channel, what I've been thinking, and just maybe even do a live video where we can kind of talk about this together. But I've just enjoyed doing this, and I appreciate all of you who have subscribed to the channel. So the Moto X4, here we have it. The reason that I ended up buying one of these is for my mother. My mother has a Moto E with 4 gigabytes of internal storage on it, and that phone just is not cutting it anymore. The camera on it is also not that great. It's a budget phone. We got that phone because she didn't want to spend a lot of money on a phone. But that phone has ran its course. She's running into issues with it. It's just an old phone. It's, probably 5 years old or so now. And so we went with this phone because she was also considering getting a slightly better point and shoot camera than what she already has. She's going to be taking some trips and, just wants something that she can use to capture some photos. And so I made the recommendation of actually just getting a better phone. Now, with a better phone, she'll be able to take better photos. She'll have increased storage, just a better overall phone experience. She'll be able to install a few more apps and stuff like that and won't have to worry about the issue she was running into with that Moto E. So let's talk about this Moto X4. Now, I had a Moto X, the first one that came out, and I was actually pretty stoked about that phone. Now, I believe that at the time, Motorola, that was one of their higher-end phones. I don't think it was their highest-end phone, but it was definitely a more spec'd out version, whereas this phone now seems to come in like right in the midline. Now, it has dual cameras, which is pretty exciting. It has a 12-megapixel, what they call a dual autofocus pixel sensor with an f2.0 aperture. What all that means is that it's going to be really good at actually locking in focus on whatever you're trying to take photos with. Or photos of. Now, it also has phase detection autofocus. So with all of that said, this camera should lock on to subjects really easily and actually make sure that you're getting just in focus shots, which is going to be great. She needs that. The camera that she was using before has older technology, wasn't so good at locking in on that focus. So what I like is that it has a standard focal length lens on it, and then it has a wider lens. So instead of going with what's popular, which is having a zoom lens, like a 2x zoom, it actually has a wider lens. So you get that 12 megapixel main shooter and then an 8 megapixel ultra wide, or like a wide angle, which is going to give you kind of like that GoPro looking, not that wide, but pretty wide. It's 120 degree field of view. And then, of course, you have a flash on the back, and you can also see just how smudgy the back of this phone gets. It is kind of a smudge monster. It's a shiny phone. She wanted to go with the silver, and we will be putting a case on this just to, give it a little bit extra grip, because it is kind of a slippery phone in the hand. I mean, it feels good. It's a good phone. I'm going to get to that. Let me talk about the front-facing camera. So what's interesting is there's a 16 megapixel front-facing camera with a flash. So this is like the selfie machine right here, because you've got that front-facing camera, extra high resolution, and you also have your flash on the front to make sure that you're getting good selfies even in darker situations, lower light situations. So say goodbye to, shadows under the eyes and stuff like that. You're going to be able to fill that in with that flash. So this phone has 32 gigabytes of internal storage, which is a ton more than what she had before. 4 gigabytes is what she had, so 32 is just going to be a whole new world. So I'm excited about that. 32 is a fairly standard amount of storage. I think unless you're going to install a ton of apps, shoot a lot of video and photos, you're going to be fine with that. But there's also expandable storage. You could put a micro SD card in here and get an extra 100 up to 128 gigs. Micro SD cards are getting super cheap, so we could definitely throw one of those in, because this shoots 4K as well. So 4K video at 30 frames per second. So it's going to shoot that high resolution, super crisp video footage, and you need extra storage for that. Of course, By default, a Motorola phone is kind of stock Android, which I like. It has some little Motorola flair on top of it, a little couple of apps running some different features, but for the most part, it's a fairly stock Android experience. What I like about that is that it uses the Google Photos app, so that means any photos that you take are automatically backed up to Google Photos, so you don't have to worry about all of that. You know, whether you use your cellular plan or when you get home and are connected to your Wi-Fi, your phone's going to back up all those photos to your Google Photos account. So even if you lost your phone was stolen or whatever, you're going to be okay. All those photos, all those videos are backed up. The display on this phone is really nice. The only problem that I ran into is that when I was out taking photos with it and some video clips of my son's baseball game, I had sunglasses on that have polarized filters or whatever. They're polarized sunglasses. And I wasn't able to see a thing at all on this screen. It didn't matter if I was in the camera mode or looking at the display itself. So that's kind of a bummer. But nonetheless, I mean, a lot of screens, like my actual cameras, my Sony cameras, I can't wear polarized lenses and look into the back of those displays. It just isn't going to work. It's not the phone itself, it's the technology. Of course, you're getting this phone for $300, or it's on sale right now for $300. It's normally $400. But you know, you're going to have some limitations there. Now, it has a fingerprint scanner right here. You know, I haven't had a phone with a fingerprint scanner down here on the bottom in a while. I've been using the Pixel XL, the Galaxy S9 Plus, the iPhone 10. So it's kind of nice to have that fingerprint reader back down here. You know, all these phones have done away with having some sort of a way to unlock your phone from the front of the display. It's all either moved to face unlock or something on the back. And so it's kind of nice to have that. You know, I'm not going to lie, it's nice to have a fingerprint scanner on the bottom. The size of the phone is also great. It's got a nice display. You know, sure, it's by today's standards, it has a bit more of a bezel on the top and the bottom and even the sides. But the size of the phone is really nice. It feels good in the hand. You know, for my mom, who's definitely would rather have a smaller phone, I think this is going to be a good ratio of like phone size to actual, you know, using this as a camera to everything that she's going to be using this phone for. I think it's just going to be a good experience for her. So, it didn't come with a whole lot of stuff pre-installed, which is kind of nice. A lot of phones come kind of muddled down with a lot of stuff. This phone just came with Motorola's additional stuff. It's got Alexa, so it has Amazon Alexa through Motorola. So you can set that up and actually activate it. You do have to have a SIM card in your phone. You have to have your phone activated. For about a week, I used this phone activated. Didn't make it my daily phone, but it was definitely the office phone. I took it everywhere with me, shot photos, video, as you've been seeing on the screen, and it did a great job. The areas that I felt that it was a little bit less than desirable are areas where I think it would need more than that 3 gigabytes of RAM. Now, it has 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty decent amount, but in switching between cameras, there was a little bit of a lag. For me, it's probably not much of a lag for most people, but a little bit of a lag for me switching between the two cameras, and even going into the front-facing camera. But as far as the responsiveness of the camera and everything, it was really good. When you press the shutter down, you know, it's not lagging and missing the shot that you're trying to get. It's actually pretty active, pretty fast. So I was impressed with that. It just had a few little areas that I think might be improved with maybe a little bit more memory, a little bit more RAM memory. But nonetheless, it still is great. I mean, 3 gigabytes of RAM for a phone that's under $400 is nothing to get upset about. So the display is a 5.2-inch FHD display, which means it's full HD, 1920 by 1080. You've got that 424 ppi pixels density on the screen, so you're getting just kind of really beautiful, solid depth of colors. Everything looks great. So it also has a 3000 milliamp battery, which means you're going to get more than all-day use out of this. For me, I would probably easily get all-day use out of it. For somebody like my mom who's going to be using this phone, she'll probably get 2 days of use. This phone hasn't been plugged in a day and a half, and it has 48% battery life left. I haven't been using the phone heavily, but I've been using the phone an average amount, and that's what I've been left with without plugging it in, without anything. So pretty fantastic there. So other things that you don't typically get on a phone at this price point is NFC, and what NFC is that near field communication where you can tap your phone and do things like Google Pay or transfer files or something over the air. Those are all extremely important features as we're moving into an era where we can make payments with our phone. If you're like me and you have a camera or some other sort of device, you can actually tap to connect and transfer data between them. So having NFC definitely makes that process so much easier. So that's another great feature of this phone. On top of that, it is USB-C and it has a headphone jack. So with the headphone jack, that's something that phones are definitely missing these days. The headphone jack's in the bottom, which is a great place for it. If I remember right, older Moto X phones had it in the top center. I like it down there in the bottom, both cables coming out the bottom. So you have your USB-C charging port, which you can also use to connect like an SD card reader. So maybe you do have a fancier camera, takes an SD card or a micro SD card with the appropriate adapter. You could plug it in there, transfer images to your phone and edit them. This phone just has really surprised me. You know, the quality of a device that you can get for under $400 these days, and right now under $300, is just absolutely fantastic. Sure, this phone doesn't support Moto mods and whatnot, but I'm not a huge fan of the Moto mods and everything either. I think the phone stands alone as being fantastic on its own. The speakers are nice and loud. As long as you're not wearing polarized sunglasses, the screen is definitely bright enough outside. Weighs 163 grams, so it's pretty light, but it still feels good. Feels dense. It doesn't feel like it's going to fly out of your hand. So it has a good weight ratio to the size of the device itself. Comes with Android 7.1 on it. When I got the phone, I had to run a couple of updates. Those updates actually did even add some additional features to the camera and to the rest of the phone, so I was excited about that. Motorola has always been pretty good at getting their updates done quick. Now, Motorola was one of those first manufacturers to actually add in some features like when you lift up your phone, the screen comes on, the always on screen or whatever, so you don't have to have an always on screen. It'll go off, and then just simply moving your phone, picking it up, it recognizes that. And there's a lot of other really cool features in here too. So if you go into the Motorola app, you can definitely see what those are. Different features and suggestions like these different actions, Moto Display, Moto Voice. These are all things that Motorola added a while back and have continued to keep up with, and they're just great additional features that I wish were available for all phones. Some of these phones, other phones have borrowed from these features, but Motorola still manages to have a very simplistic view with Android, keeping it relatively stock, giving you some additional features that make the experience that much better. So with that said, the Moto X4, you can get it. There's some links down in the description below. I bought this one off of Amazon. You can buy them also direct from Motorola, but I put some links down in the description below for you, including a couple of cases that I have tested as well. And I think that it's a great phone. If you're looking for something in the mid-budget range, actually I would, at $299, this is the mid to lower budget range, you're getting a fantastic device for the price. I think you're going to like the Moto X4, so check out those links in the description below. Hey, have you tried one of these phones? Have you had a previous Moto X? Let me know down in the comment section below if you are a Motorola fan like I have been. I've had kind of mixed feelings since the whole Moto mods thing, but I've always enjoyed Motorola devices. They've done a great job. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Click on that subscribe button to get notified when we put out new videos. I appreciate all of you who have done that, over 30,000 of you, which I can't thank you enough for. My gratitude will be expressed in an upcoming video, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't so that you get notified when that video comes out. Till next time, thanks so much. Make sure to follow us over on Instagram at State of Tech as well. We've got some images, some different stuff we'll be posting over there. Our website, stateoftech.net, also has this video as well as lots of photos of the device that I took personally, so make sure to check that out as well. And I hope to see you back here soon on State of Tech. Take care.